After 2 years of fighting overseas, I surprised my family with an early return and caught my wife cheating. Wife said, "I'll cheat on you and keep bringing my lover into our bed. Don't even think about divorce. If you think about divorcing me, you will never see your kids again." But before I begin, please like and subscribe to the channel. And we'd love to hear which part of the world are you joining us from. Let us know. Now, let's dive into today's story. The familiar scent of pine needles filled Logan Everett's lungs as he stood at the end of his driveway, duffel bag slung over his shoulder. Time seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously, 2 years condensed into this single moment of return. 730 days since he'd last seen his home, touched his children's faces, held his wife in his arms. His combat boots crunched against the gravel as he took measured steps toward the 2-story colonial house that had existed only in his dreams during deployment. The late afternoon sun painted long shadows across the meticulously maintained lawn, casting the house in a warm, golden glow that felt almost surreal after the harsh landscapes of war. Everything looked exactly as he remembered it. The crisp white trim around the windows, the flower beds Marissa had always kept overflowing with bright blooms, the old oak tree where he'd hung Caleb's tire swing before his deployment. A soccer ball lay abandoned near the front steps, probably from one of his son's afternoon practice sessions. The sight brought a smile to his face, remembering the video calls where Caleb would excitedly demonstrate his improving footwork. Logan paused halfway up the driveway, taking in the subtle changes 2 years had wrought. The garden shed he'd promised to repaint before leaving still wore its faded blue coat. The butterfly bush Avery had helped him plant had grown wild and untamed, its purple blooms spilling over the garden border. His daughter had been so proud of that bush, insisting on watering it herself every evening. In her letters, she kept him updated on its progress, complete with carefully drawn pictures of the butterflies it attracted. The memories washed over him as he approached the house. He'd planned this homecoming down to the minute, coordinating with his unit to arrive early, wanting to surprise his family. His commanding officer had even pulled some strings to get him on an earlier transport, understanding the importance of these first moments of reunion. Caleb would be finishing up 5th grade now, probably taller than the last video call. And little Avery, his chest tightening, thinking about his daughter's shy smile. How she'd write him those detailed letters about her day. In her careful 2nd-grade handwriting, movement in the neighbor's window caught his eye. Mrs. Henderson, who'd lived next door since before Logan and Marissa bought the house, quickly drew back from her curtain. She'd always been a fixture in their lives, babysitting the kids occasionally when they were younger. But something about her hasty retreat struck Logan as odd. In his experience, battlefield instincts didn't just disappear on home soil, and right now, those instincts were humming with an undefined warning that he reached the porch steps, his hand brushing against the wooden railing where Caleb had knocked out his first tooth, trying to slide down it. The memory of that day flashed through his mind. Marissa holding their crying son, while Logan cleaned the blood off the wood, both of them trying not to laugh at Caleb's indignant insistence that he'd almost made it all the way down. That was back when they were still a real family. When his marriage to Marissa felt solid and true, Logan reached for his keys, but hesitated at the door. The house seemed quiet. Too quiet for a weekday afternoon when the kids should be home from school. The family SUV was in the driveway, but Marissa's sleek company car was nowhere to be seen. Maybe she'd taken them to one of their activities. He should have called ahead, but he'd been so set on surprising them. On seeing their faces light up at his unexpected return, the key slid into the lock with a familiar click that echoed in the stillness. Logan pushed the door open, the hinges creaking slightly, something he'd meant to fix before deployment. The entryway was dim, sunlight filtering through the closed curtains to cast muted patterns on the hardwood floor. He set his duffel bag down quietly, years of military training making his movements almost soundless. The house smelled different. Beneath the usual sense of home leather furniture, the vanilla candles Marissa loved, the lingering aroma of morning coffee, there was something else. Something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. "Hello," he called out softly. "Anyone home?" Silence answered him, but then a sound. Faint, but unmistakable, coming from upstairs. His bedroom. Logan's combat-trained instincts kicked in. every nerve ending suddenly alert. Something felt wrong. The house wasn't empty, but no one had answered his call. He moved toward the stairs, each step calculated and quiet, just as he'd done countless times on patrol in hostile territory. The sound grew clearer as he ascended, rhythmic creaking, muffled voices, his hand tightened on the banister, knuckles white against the polished wood. 14 steps to the top landing. He'd counted them every night when checking on the kids, a habit born from military precision. With each step now, the sounds became more distinct, more undeniable. His mind refused to process what his ears were telling him. Even as his gut twisted with a soldier's certainty of incoming fire, the upstairs hallway stretched before him, lined with family photos he'd helped Marissa hang years ago. His children's smiling faces beamed at him from frozen moments in time. Caleb's first soccer trophy, Avery's ballet recital, family vacations to the beach. Happy memories that suddenly felt like they belonged to someone else's life. The bedroom door was closed, but not completely. A sliver of afternoon light spilled through the gap, along with sounds that left no room for misinterpretation. Logan stood there, frozen, his world tilting on its axis. He'd survived firefights and mortar attacks, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Nothing in his military training had equipped him for the way his heart seemed to stop, then restart with a painful thud. His hand moved to the door almost of its own accord, military discipline warring with the primal need to deny what he already knew he would find. One push and everything would change. One moment that would divide his life into before and after. Just as surely as the day he'd first deployed, the door swung open silently, and the scene burned itself into his retinas like white phosphorus. The scene before Logan burned itself into his memory with brutal clarity. Marissa, his wife, the mother of his children, the woman he'd loved for 12 years, was tangled in their marriage bed with a stranger. The man was on top of her, his back to the door, but Logan could see Marissa's face clearly. Her eyes were closed, lips parted in pleasure, completely lost in the moment. The same expression she'd worn on their wedding night when Caleb was born, during countless intimate moments that now felt poisoned by this betrayal. Sunlight streamed through the half-drawn curtains Logan had helped her pick out before his deployment, casting the whole scene in harsh, unforgiving detail. Their wedding photo still hung on the wall, watching this desecration of vows like a silent witness. The perfume bottle he'd sent Marissa for their anniversary sat on the nightstand, alongside a man's watch that wasn't his. Time seemed to stop, then shatter into 1,000 razor-sharp fragments. Logan felt something fundamental break inside him, a seismic shift in his universe that would leave nothing unchanged. The blood roared in his ears, drowning out everything except the sound of his own heartbeat and a single thought. This wasn't a momentary lapse, a one-time mistake. The scene before him spoke of familiarity, of routine. This was his bedroom, his bed, but these moments had been happening without him, creating a parallel life where he was nothing but an inconvenient memory. What the fuck is this? His voice came out controlled, deadly quiet. The kind of quiet that preceded an explosion, that made his men snap to attention in the field, that warned of imminent danger. It was the voice of a soldier who had learned to channel rage into precision. That Marissa's eyes snapped open. The man above her froze, then scrambled to turn around. Logan barely registered his face clean-cut, expensive haircut, designer watch glinting on his wrist. Some corporate type, probably from Marissa's workplace. He had the soft hands and manicured appearance of someone who'd never seen real combat, never had to fight for anything that mattered. Logan. The man practically fell off the bed, grabbing for his clothes. His voice held the high-pitched panic of someone seeing their comfortable world collapse. She said she told me you weren't. Get out. Logan's voice could have frozen hell itself. Each word precise, measured, carrying the weight of barely contained violence. Now. The man didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed his clothes, not even bothering to put them on, and bolted past Logan. His footsteps thundered down the stairs, followed by the slam of the front door. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot, marking the death of everything Logan had believed about his marriage. Marissa sat up slowly, pulling the sheet around herself. Her dark hair was messed, lips swollen from kissing another man. But it was her eyes that caught Logan's attention, cold, calculating, almost sneering. This wasn't the face of a woman caught in betrayal. This was the face of someone finally dropping a mask they'd worn too long. "You're early," she said, as if commenting on his arrival for dinner. Her voice held no trace of shame or remorse, only mild annoyance. "Weren't supposed to be back until next week." Logan felt something inside him harden to steel. Every combat mission had taught him to read people, to spot the difference between friend and foe. The woman before him was no longer his wife. She was an enemy combatant who had just revealed her true colors. How long? Does it matter? Marissa reached for her robe hanging on the bedpost, the silk one he'd sent from overseas, he noted with bitter irony. How long? Each word carried the weight of command, of a man who had led soldiers into battle and expected straight answers. Marissa shrugged into the robe, her movements deliberately casual. "On and off since you left. David's not the first. Won't be the last either." She tied the robe's belt with precise movements, as if they were having a normal conversation. "Did you really expect me to wait around like some faithful military wife while you played hero overseas?" The casual cruelty of her words struck Logan like physical blows. Each syllable another bullet, finding its mark with surgical precision. She'd learned his vulnerabilities over 12 years of marriage, knew exactly where to strike to inflict maximum damage. "The kids," he managed, his mind immediately going to Caleb and Avery. "Where are they?" "At their friends' houses." Marissa stood, smoothing her robe with practiced grace. "I'm not stupid, Logan. I'll make sure they're never around when I have company." Her lips curved in a smirk. "I'm a better parent than you think." "Company?" The word tasted like ash in his mouth. "That's what you call fucking random men in our bed? In the home where our children sleep?" "Don't act so shocked." Marissa's voice took on an edge of contempt as she moved to her vanity mirror, checking her appearance. "What did you expect? That I'd sit here like some war widow, pining away while you played hero halfway across the world? I have needs, Logan. Needs that can't be met by a husband who chose the military over his family." Logan took a step forward, his hands clenched into fists. The urge to destroy something, anything, pulsed through him like a physical force. "Needs? We have children, Marissa. A family. Vows we made to each other. Does any of that mean anything to you?" "Vows?" She laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Wake up, Logan. This isn't some fairy tale where the brave soldier comes home to his faithful wife. You left us, left me, for 2 years. What about my needs? My happiness? Did you think about that when you volunteered for another tour? I was serving my country." The words exploded from him, raw with suppressed rage. "Fighting to keep you safe, to provide for our family. Every moment overseas was for you, for the kids. Oh, spare me the patriotic bullshit." Marissa's face twisted into something ugly as she turned to face him. "You chose the military over us. Over me. Well, guess what? I chose to live my life the way I want. And I'll keep doing it." She stepped closer, her eyes glittering with malice. "In fact, let me make this perfectly clear. I'll cheat on you whenever I want, and I'll bring whoever I want into this house. You don't like it? File for divorce. But if you do," her lips curved into a cruel smile, "you'll never see Caleb and Avery again." The threat hit Logan like a physical blow, worse than any combat injury he'd ever sustained. "You wouldn't try me?" Marissa's voice dripped with satisfaction, recognizing she'd found his weakness. "Who do you think the courts will believe? The absent father who abandoned his family for years, or the devoted mother who stayed behind to raise the children? One word from me about PTSD, about how unstable you are from the war, about how the kids are afraid of your temper." She trailed off, letting the implications sink in. Logan felt the trap closing around him, saw the careful calculation behind Marissa's words. She'd planned this, he realized, maybe not this exact moment, but she'd thought about how to maintain control, how to keep him under her thumb. "They're my children too," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Are they?" Marissa's smile widened, showing teeth. "When was the last time you were actually here for them? While you were playing soldier, I was the one raising them, taking them to school, to doctor's appointments, helping with homework. I'm their real parent, Logan. You're just a stranger who shows up every couple of years with war stories and guilt gifts. Each word was carefully chosen to wound, to cut deep into his insecurities about being an absent father. But beneath the pain, something else was growing in Logan's chest. A cold, hard certainty that the woman standing before him wasn't the person he'd married. Maybe she never had been. "You're wrong," he said quietly, his voice taking on the steel edge that had commanded men in battle. "About everything, but especially about the kids. They know who loves them, who sacrificed for them." Marissa's expression flickered for a moment, a crack in her confident facade, then hardened again. "Believe whatever you want. But remember what I said. Try to leave me, try to expose this, and you'll never see them again. I'll make sure of it." She brushed past him, heading for the bathroom. "I'm going to shower. When I come out, we're not going to discuss this again. You'll sleep in the guest room from now on. And remember, this is my house too. I'll do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want." The bathroom door closed behind her with a decisive click, leaving Logan alone in the bedroom, their bedroom, where he'd held her countless nights, where they'd made plans and dreams, where she'd just destroyed everything they'd built together. The sound of the shower starting up felt like a mockery of normalcy, as if she could wash away her betrayal as easily as she'd washed away his trust. He stood there, surrounded by the evidence of her infidelity. Rumpled sheets, scattered clothes, the lingering scent of another man's cologne. His military training had taught him how to handle enemy fire, how to survive in hostile territory. But this was a different kind of war zone, one where the enemy wore the face of the woman he'd loved, where the casualties could be his children's happiness. Logan moved to the window, looking out at the neighborhood he dreamed about coming home to. The perfect little houses, the manicured lawns. All of it suddenly seemed like a facade hiding ugly truths. Mrs. Henderson's curtains were still drawn next door. How many others had known? How many had watched his children while their mother betrayed everything their family stood for? The sound of the shower running became white noise in the background as Logan's mind shifted into tactical mode. Marissa thought she had him trapped, thought she could control him with threats and manipulation. She'd revealed her true nature, selfish, narcissistic, caring only about her own pleasures and desires. But she'd made one critical mistake, that she'd underestimated him. Logan had survived war zones and firefights. He'd learned patience, strategy, and, most importantly, how to identify an enemy's weaknesses. Marissa might think she held all the cards, but he hadn't survived 2 tours of duty by giving up when the odds seemed stacked against him. Every battle required intelligence gathering, planning, and the wisdom to know when to strike. That he pulled out his phone, checking the time. The kids would be home soon. Caleb from soccer practice, Avery from her friend Emma's house. His children, the only pure thing left in this poison home. He'd endured firefights and mortar attacks for them, carried their pictures through war zones, lived for the sound of their voices during rare video calls. The shower continued running, Marissa probably washing away the evidence of her afternoon tryst. Logan's hand tightened on his phone as a plan began forming in his mind. She wanted to play games? Thought she could threaten him with losing his children? She was about to learn that some enemies you shouldn't underestimate. The front door opened downstairs, followed by the sound of running feet. "Dad? Dad, are you really home?" Caleb's voice, deeper than Logan remembered but still unmistakably his son's, carried up the stairs. The sound cut through Logan's dark thoughts like a shaft of sunlight through storm clouds. He took a deep breath, pushing down the rage and pain that threatened to overwhelm him. His children needed their father now, needed his strength and love more than ever. "Up here, buddy," he called back, moving toward the stairs. His voice emerged steady, masking the turmoil beneath. "I'm home." Caleb appeared at the bottom of the stairs, his soccer cleats still on, practice bag dropped forgotten by the door. At 10 years old, he was all long limbs and boundless energy, his face lighting up with pure joy at the sight of his father. Logan's heart clenched at how much his son had grown. The baby fat had melted away from his face, leaving behind features that were starting to show the man he would become. "Dad!" Caleb took the stairs 2 at a time, launching himself into Logan's arms with the kind of unconditional trust that only children possess. Logan caught him, holding his son tight, feeling the differences 2 years had brought. Caleb was taller, heavier, but he still fit perfectly in his father's embrace. The boy smelled of grass and sweat and sunshine, reminding Logan of everything pure and good he'd fought to protect. For a moment, he could pretend nothing had changed, that his world hadn't just imploded in their bedroom down the hall. "I missed you so much," Caleb mumbled into his chest, his voice thick with emotion. "Coach says I'm getting really good at defense, just like you taught me before you left. And I've been practicing those drills you wrote about in your letters. I missed you too, buddy." Logan's voice was rough as he pulled back slightly to study his son's face. The dark hair that needed a trim, the intense blue eyes that mirrored his own, the smattering of freckles across his nose from hours spent practicing under the sun. "Look at you. You've grown so much. Bet you're the tallest in your class now, aren't you?" Caleb grinned, straightening up proudly. "Yeah, even taller than Michael Stevens, and he used to always be the tallest. And Coach says I might make the travel team next season. I've been practicing really hard, just like you said in your letters. Every day, even when it rains." "That's amazing, son." Logan ruffled his hair, marveling at how much of himself he saw in Caleb's features. The same determined set of the jaw, the same focused intensity when talking about something he loved. "I can't wait to see you play. Tell me about your team." Before Caleb could respond, the sound of the shower stopping brought reality crashing back. Logan felt his son tense slightly, a shadow passing over his excited expression. "Where's Mom?" Caleb asked, his voice dropping as he glanced toward the master bedroom. "Did you surprise her too?" The innocent question hit Logan like a punch to the gut. How much had his son noticed? How much had he understood during these 2 years? "She's taking a shower," he managed, keeping his voice neutral. "Listen, buddy, why don't you go get cleaned up from practice? I want to hear all about school and soccer, but let's get you out of those sweaty clothes first." Caleb nodded eagerly, but Logan noticed how his eyes darted toward the master bedroom again. "Okay, and Avery should be home soon too. She's going to be so excited. She keeps all your letters in a special box under her bed, you know, even the envelopes. She says they smell like you." The mention of his daughter's devotion sent another spike of pain through Logan's heart. Sweet, sensitive Avery, who saw so much and said so little. How had Marissa's behavior affected her? What had his little girl observed during his absence? "Go on, get changed," Logan said, giving Caleb another quick hug. "I'll be right here." As Caleb bounded off to his room, Logan heard the master bedroom door open. Marissa emerged, fully dressed and composed as if nothing had happened. Her hair was damp, skin flushed from the hot shower, wearing a casual outfit that screamed suburban mom. Their eyes met across the hallway, a silent warning passing between them, but before either of them could speak, the front door opened again. Soft footsteps in the entryway, followed by a small gasp that seemed to contain a universe of emotion. "Daddy." Avery stood at the bottom of the stairs, her backpack clutched to her chest like a shield. At 8 years old, she was still small for her age, with Logan's blue eyes and Marissa's dark hair falling in neat braids. She stared up at him with an expression of wonder and disbelief, as if afraid he might disappear if she blinked. "Hey, princess." Logan's voice cracked as he descended the stairs, each step bringing him closer to his daughter. Unlike Caleb's exuberant tackle, Avery's approach was cautious, measured, her eyes never leaving his face. When he reached the bottom step, she moved forward slowly, her backpack sliding forgotten to the floor. Her embrace, when it came, was gentle, almost tentative, as if she feared he might shatter if she held too tight. Logan knelt down, gathering her close, breathing in the familiar scent of her strawberry shampoo, and feeling the slight tremor in her small frame. "I missed you so much, Daddy," she whispered against his neck. "I wrote you a new letter yesterday. I didn't know you'd be here to read it in person. I missed you too, sweetheart." Logan stroked her hair, noting how long it had grown, how the baby curls had straightened into waves like her mother's. More than you can imagine. Every single day, he felt Marissa's presence behind him, watching this reunion with their daughter. Avery must have sensed something too, because she stiffened slightly in his arms, her grip on his shirt tightening almost imperceptibly. "Mom." Avery's voice was quieter now, uncertainty creeping in. Did you know Dad was coming home today? It was a surprise for all of us, Marissa said smoothly, her tone perfect loving mother, supportive wife. The same tone she'd used upstairs while threatening to take his children away. Why don't you go put your things away, honey? Dad's probably tired from his trip. Logan felt Avery's arms tighten around his neck for a moment before she pulled away. She glanced between her parents, something uncertain in her expression that shouldn't have been there, something that spoke of careful observation and unspoken understanding. Can I show you my room first? She asked Logan, her voice small but hopeful. I redecorated it just like I wrote about in my letters. Emma's mom helped me pick out new curtains, and I hung up all the pictures you sent. Of course, Princess. Logan stood, taking her small hand in his. He felt Marissa's eyes burning into his back, but ignored her, focusing instead on his daughter's tentative smile. Lead the way. Avery's room had transformed from the pink princess paradise he remembered into something more sophisticated. The walls were now a soft lavender, decorated with carefully arranged photographs and drawings. Logan recognized the scenes from his deployment shots of desert sunsets, ancient buildings, and candid moments with his unit, all carefully curated to avoid anything too military or dangerous. I kept everything you sent me, Avery said, moving to her desk where a wooden box sat prominently displayed. She opened it carefully, revealing a collection of letters, photographs, and small trinkets he'd mailed home. Even the pressed flower from that country, with the long name I can't pronounce. Miss Williams, that's my new teacher. She helped me look it up on the map when I brought it for show and tell. Logan sat on the edge of her bed, watching as his daughter reverently handled each memento. There was something both heartwarming and heartbreaking about how she'd preserved every piece of him she could hold on to. The other kids thought it was really cool, she continued, her voice growing more animated. Tommy Jenkins said his dad just brings him stuff from the gas station when he visits, but I had things from all over the world. The casual mention of another broken family hit Logan hard. Visits? He asked carefully to Avery's hands stilled on the letters. His parents are divorced, she explained, not looking up. He only sees his dad every other weekend now. Some of the kids in my class have divorced parents. They say it's not so bad once you get used to it. The implications behind her words were clear. Logan felt a new kind of pain bloom in his chest. His 8-year-old daughter had been preparing herself for this possibility, gathering information, trying to understand how other children coped with divided families. Avery, he began, but was interrupted by Caleb's voice from the doorway. Dad, come see my room too. I kept all the patches you sent, and I got new soccer posters. And he stopped, noticing the serious atmosphere. Is everything okay? Logan forced a smile. Everything's fine, buddy. Your sister was just showing me her collection. How about you show me your room now, and then we can all have dinner together? Actually, Marissa's voice came from the hallway, making both children turn. Dinner might be a little late. I wasn't expecting to cook for 4 tonight. We could order pizza, Caleb suggested hopefully. To celebrate Dad being home? Chinese food would be better, Marissa countered, her tone brooking no argument. I'll call our usual place. She disappeared down the hall, leaving an uncomfortable silence in her wake. Logan watched his children exchange a look that spoke volumes. They'd learned to read their mother's moods, to navigate her subtle signals. The thought made his jaw clench, but he kept his voice light. Why don't you both tell me about school while we wait for dinner? I want to hear everything. As his children settled on either side of him on Avery's bed, Logan felt a fierce protectiveness surge through him. Marissa might think she held all the power, might believe her threats would keep him in line. But she'd forgotten something crucial about him, something that 2 tours of duty had carved into his very bones, that a soldier never abandoned his people. And these 2 precious souls weren't just people. They were his heart walking around outside his body. He'd fight for them with everything he had, using every skill and strategy he'd learned in combat. Marissa's voice drifted up from downstairs as she ordered dinner, maintaining her perfect suburban mom facade. But Logan barely heard her. He was already at war, his mind mapping out battle plans and identifying tactical advantages. She thought she could use the children as weapons against him. She was about to learn that some weapons could backfire, The dining room table had always been the heart of their family life, a place where they'd shared meals, homework sessions, and countless conversations. Now, as Logan helped Avery set out plates and silverware, it felt more like preparing for a battlefield engagement. Each piece of cutlery placed with precise attention, every movement calculated under Marissa's watchful eye from the kitchen. "The chopsticks go on the right side," Marissa called out, her voice carrying that artificial sweetness that set Logan's teeth on edge. "Avery, honey, you're doing it wrong." Logan watched his daughter's small hands falter as she adjusted the chopsticks. "It looks fine, princess," he said quietly, giving her an encouraging smile. "Why don't you tell me about your art project? The one you mentioned in your last letter?" Avery brightened slightly. "We're making dioramas of different ecosystems. I chose the rainforest because—" She trailed off as Marissa emerged from the kitchen, carrying bags of takeout. "Caleb," Marissa called up the stairs. "Dinner's ready. And wash your hands properly this time." The sound of running water upstairs was followed by thundering footsteps as Caleb descended. He'd changed into clean clothes, his hair still damp from a quick shower. Logan noticed how his son's eyes darted between his parents before he chose his seat next to his father, as far from Marissa as the table would allow. "I ordered all your favorites," Marissa announced, removing containers from the bags. "Though it's been so long, I'm not sure if your tastes have changed, Logan." The barb was subtle but clear. Logan ignored it, focusing instead on helping Avery with her chair. "Everything looks great. Thank you for ordering." Marissa took her seat at the opposite end of the table, a position that let her maintain eye contact with Logan while still controlling the distribution of food. "Well, it's not every day my husband decides to come home early without warning. Dad, can you come to my soccer game on Saturday?" Caleb interjected quickly, perhaps sensing the tension. "We're playing against the Hawks, and they're the best team in the league. Coach says I might even start as a defender." Before Logan could answer, Marissa spoke up. "Actually, honey, Saturday might not work. Your father and I have some things to discuss about his return. Maybe next weekend." Logan met his son's crestfallen expression with a firm shake of his head. "Saturday works perfectly, buddy. I wouldn't miss it for anything." He held Marissa's gaze as he added, "Nothing is more important than being there for my children." The look Marissa shot him could have frozen hell itself, but her voice remained honey-sweet. "Of course, family comes first. Isn't that right, Logan? Though sometimes other duties seem to take priority." "Mom," Caleb said suddenly, his young voice carrying a weight beyond his years. "Dad was serving our country. That's important too." An uncomfortable silence fell over the table. Logan watched Marissa's expression flicker surprise, anger, calculation before settling back into its careful mask. "Of course it is, sweetheart," she said smoothly, passing the sweet and sour chicken. "I just meant that it's nice to have your father home now." "Avery, don't play with your food." Avery, who had been quietly arranging her rice into precise patterns, dropped her chopsticks with a clatter. "Sorry," she whispered, ducking her head. "It's okay, princess," Logan said gently. "Tell me about school. Your last letter mentioned a poetry competition." "Oh." Avery glanced at her mother before continuing. I won first place. Mrs. Henderson helped me practice after school sometimes. She said my poem reminded her of the ones her husband used to write before he passed away." "Mrs. Henderson?" Logan kept his voice casual, though his mind immediately went to the neighbor's strange behavior earlier. "That was nice of her." "Yes, wasn't it?" Marissa's tone carried an edge, though I wish she'd focus more on her own affairs instead of involving herself in ours. "She's nice," Caleb defended. "She lets me practice soccer in her backyard when—" He stopped abruptly, shoving a forkful of rice into his mouth. "When what, buddy?" Logan prompted, noting how both children seemed to shrink under Marissa's sharp glance. "When Mom has her work friends over," Avery finished quietly, not looking up from her plate. The implications hung heavy in the air. Logan felt his jaw tighten, but before he could respond, Marissa laughed a bright, artificial sound. "Isn't it cute how they call everyone from the office my work friends?" she said, her eyes warning Logan to play along. "David especially has been so helpful with the children. Remember when he helped you with your math homework?" "Avery." Logan watched his daughter's shoulders tense at the mention of David's name. "He wasn't very patient," she murmured. "Not like Daddy." "Well, Not everyone has your father's military discipline, Marissa said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Though I suppose that comes in handy when you're away from your family for years at a time. Mom, stop it. Caleb's voice cracked slightly. Dad's home now. Can't we just be happy? The raw plea in his son's voice made Logan's heart ache. He reached over and squeezed Caleb's shoulder, feeling the tension in his young muscles. You're right, buddy, he said firmly. Let's focus on the good things. Like how your sister won that poetry competition. Avery, would you share your poem with me after dinner? Avery's face lit up briefly before uncertainty crept back in. I have it in my special box. The one with all your letters. Speaking of letters, Marissa interrupted. I hope you're not planning another deployment anytime soon, Logan. The children have had quite enough of living through the mail, don't you think? Actually, Logan met her gaze steadily. I've been offered a position at the base's training facility. Local posting. No more overseas tours. The news landed like a bombshell. Both children's heads snapped up, hope blazing in their eyes. Marissa's carefully maintained expression cracked for just a moment, showing the calculation beneath. You never mentioned this in your calls, she said, her voice tight. It's a recent development. I wanted to discuss it in person. Logan turned to his children, whose faces shone with barely contained joy. It means I'll be home every night. I can come to all your games. Caleb, help with your projects. Avery. Really? Avery's voice was barely a whisper. You won't have to go away again? Really, princess? I'm home to stay. Well, Marissa cut in, her tone sharp despite her smile. We'll have to discuss the details, of course. There are arrangements to consider. The only arrangement that matters, Logan replied calmly, is making sure our children have both parents present in their lives. Isn't that right, Marissa? She met his gaze across the table, understanding the implicit challenge in his words. The children watched this exchange with the heightened awareness of young ones who had learned to read the currents of adult tension. Of course, Marissa finally said, her smile never reaching her eyes. Family first. Always. Now, who wants dessert? I picked up those almond cookies you both like. As she stood to clear the plates, Logan noticed how both children seemed to exhale collectively, as if they'd been holding their breath throughout dinner. He caught Caleb's eye and winked, earning a small but genuine smile in return. Dad! Avery's voice was so quiet he had to lean closer to hear her. Will you read my poem now? Before dessert? I'd love to, princess. Logan stood, noting how Marissa's movements in the kitchen grew more aggressive at his words. Why don't you go get it? We can have a poetry reading right here, at the table. As Avery hurried upstairs, Caleb leaned closer to his father. She wrote it about you, he whispered. Mom got really mad when she found out Avery won the competition with it. She wouldn't even go to the ceremony. Another piece of the puzzle clicked into place in Logan's mind. He could picture it clearly, his sensitive daughter pouring her heart into words, Marissa's fury at this public display of devotion to an absent father. How many other moments like this had he missed? The sound of Avery's returning footsteps pulled him from these thoughts. She clutched a carefully folded paper in her hands, the edges worn from frequent handling. Ready when you are, princess, Logan encouraged, deliberately ignoring the sound of cabinet doors slamming in the kitchen. Avery smoothed the paper with trembling fingers and began to read, her voice growing stronger with each line. Her words painted pictures of desert stars and distant dreams, of letters carried by wind and prayers whispered at bedtime. It was a child's poem, simple and pure, but it carried a weight of longing that brought tears to Logan's eyes when she finished. The silence in the dining room was profound. Even Marissa had stilled in the kitchen, perhaps caught despite herself by the raw emotion in their daughter's voice. That was beautiful, sweetheart, Logan said softly, opening his arms. Avery flew into them, burying her face in his chest. I knew you'd come home, she whispered. I knew you wouldn't leave us forever like Tommy's dad did. The faith in her voice, the trust he heard there, hardened Logan's resolve. Marissa might think she held all the cards with her threats and manipulation, but she'd forgotten something fundamental. The bonds between a father and his children, forged through love and strengthened by sacrifice, couldn't be broken by mere threats that if reading his thoughts, Marissa's voice cut through the moment. Time for dessert. Avery, put that away now. Your father doesn't need to be reminded of how long he was gone. But Logan held his daughter closer, feeling Caleb press against his side in a show of silent support. Let Marissa play her games. He was home now, and he would fight for his children with every weapon in his arsenal. The war had just begun, the evening stretched on like a taut wire, vibrating with unspoken tensions. After dessert, Logan helped the children with their homework at the dining room table, acutely aware of Marissa's movements through the house. She made phone calls in hushed tones from the kitchen, her laughter carrying a forced brightness that made Avery's hands tremble as she worked on her math problems. Here, princess, Logan said softly, guiding her through a particularly challenging equation. Remember what I taught you in our video calls? Break it down into smaller parts, just like planning a mission. Avery's grip on her pencil relaxed slightly as she nodded. Step by step, she whispered, repeating his old mantra. Like building a fortress, brick by brick. From across the table, Caleb looked up from his social studies textbook. Dad used to say that about soccer defense too. You can't stop the other team if you don't break down their attack pattern. Logan felt a surge of pride at how his children had internalized these lessons, applying them to their own challenges. He tried to teach them resilience and strategic thinking through his letters and calls, never imagining they'd need these skills to navigate their own home. That's right, he confirmed, keeping his voice steady as Marissa's laughter drifted in again. Every problem has a solution if you approach it methodically. Speaking of which, how's that history project coming along, buddy? Caleb's face darkened slightly. It's okay. David tried to help last week, but he kept saying I was doing it wrong. Mrs. Henderson helped me find better research sources instead. Did she now? Marissa's voice cut through the moment as she entered the dining room, phone in hand. I thought I told you to stop bothering the neighbors with your schoolwork. Mrs. Henderson offered. Avery defended quietly, not looking up from her math worksheet. She said she misses teaching since she retired. Marissa's lips tightened. Well, she needs to mind her own business. And it's getting late. Time for bed, both of you. Logan caught the flash of panic in both children's eyes. How about I help with bedtime tonight? He suggested, keeping his tone light. I've missed our routines. Fine, Marissa said after a pause, her smile not reaching her eyes. But don't take too long. We still need to discuss arrangements for your unexpected return. The children packed up their homework with the careful efficiency of those used to navigating adult tensions. Logan followed them upstairs, noting how they moved in perfect synchronization. A team forged by circumstances beyond their years. Avery's bedtime routine came first, her small hands clutching her favorite book, one Logan had sent from overseas about a brave little girl who never gave up hope. As he settled into the reading chair beside her bed, she curled up against him like she used to before his deployment. Will you be here tomorrow night too? She asked as he finished the story, her voice small but heavy with meaning. Every night, princess, Logan promised, smoothing her dark hair back from her forehead. I took the training position, remember? No more deployments. But Mom said. She stopped, biting her lip. What did Mom say, sweetheart? Avery's fingers twisted in her blanket. She said not to get too attached, because you might leave again. She says that's what soldiers do. They always choose the army over their families. The words struck Logan like physical blows, but he kept his voice gentle. Your mom is wrong about that. I chose the training position specifically to be here with you and Caleb. Nothing is more important to me than being your father. Promise. Her blue eyes, so like his own, searched his face. I promise. He sealed it with a kiss on her forehead. Now get some sleep. I love you, princess. Love you too, Daddy. Next came Caleb's room, where his son was already in bed but clearly waiting, his bedside lamp casting shadows on the soccer posters that covered his walls. Dad! Caleb spoke as soon as Logan sat on the edge of his bed. I need to tell you something. What is it, buddy? Caleb sat up, his young face serious in the dim light. I know about Mom's friends. The ones she brings over when she thinks we're not around. David isn't the only one. Logan felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice calm. How long has this been happening? Since a few months after you left, Caleb admitted. At first, she said they were work friends coming over for dinner. But then I came home early from soccer practice one day and saw. He trailed off, his face flushing with anger and embarrassment. "It's not your fault, son," Logan said firmly, placing a hand on Caleb's shoulder. "None of this is your fault." "I try to protect Avery," Caleb continued, his voice cracking slightly. "I started taking her to Mrs. Henderson's house when Mom had visitors. Mrs. Henderson understood. She sees everything from her window. She's been helping us." Pride and pain warred in Logan's chest. His 10-year-old son shouldn't have had to become a protector, shouldn't have had to shield his sister from their mother's behavior. "You did good, buddy," he assured Caleb. "You took care of your sister when I couldn't be here. But now I'm home, and it's my turn to protect both of you." "Are you and Mom going to get divorced?" Caleb asked directly, showing that same tactical thinking Logan had tried to teach him in soccer. "Tommy says it's not so bad once you get used to it. His dad got an apartment nearby, and he gets to decorate his own room there." "I don't know exactly what's going to happen," Logan answered honestly. "But I promise you this, whatever happens, I will always be here for you and Avery. No more deployments, no more missing soccer games or school events." "Okay." Caleb nodded, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. "Okay, just don't let Mom send you away. She talks about it sometimes when she thinks we can't hear. About how she could make you leave if she wanted to. Nobody is going to make me leave you and your sister," Logan promised, his tactical mind already processing this new intelligence. "Now get some sleep. You got practice tomorrow, right?" "Yeah, Dad." Caleb caught his hand as he stood to leave. "I'm really glad you're home." "Me too, buddy. Me too." Downstairs, Logan found Marissa waiting in the living room, perched on the edge of the sofa like a queen about to pass judgment. The facade of perfect mother had dropped away, replaced by cold calculation. "We need to establish ground rules," she stated without preamble. "Starting with your sleeping arrangements. The guest room is made up." "I heard you on the phone earlier," Logan replied, remaining standing. "Making plans for tomorrow afternoon?" Marissa's eyes narrowed. "My personal life is none of your concern anymore. You gave up that right when you chose the military over your family. The children know." He watched the words land, saw the flicker of uncertainty cross her face. "They're not blind, Marissa. They see everything. They're children," she dismissed. "They see what I tell them to see. And right now, they're going to see a mother who graciously allowed their father to return home despite his abandonment. Is that what you call it? I was serving our country, providing for our family, while you turned our home into your personal playground. Don't you dare judge me," Marissa hissed, standing to face him. "You have no idea what it's been like playing both parents while you played hero overseas. I deserve happiness, Logan. I deserve pleasure. And if you don't like my methods of finding it, you can leave. But remember, if I try to leave, you'll make sure I never see the kids again," Logan finished for her. "You've made your threats clear. But you've forgotten something important, Marissa." "Oh, and what's that?" "I'm a soldier. I've spent years learning how to identify enemy positions, gather intelligence, and plan counterattacks." He stepped closer, letting her see the steel in his eyes. "You think you have all the power here? Think again. Are you threatening me?" Her voice carried a note of uncertainty despite her bravado. "Not at all. I'm simply reminding you that some enemies are better left unfought." He turned toward the stairs. "I'll take the guest room, as you suggested. Wouldn't want to make things uncomfortable for your visitors." "This is still my house," she called after him. "I'll do what I want when I want." Logan paused on the stairs, looking back at her. "You know what the first rule of warfare is, Marissa? Never underestimate your opponent. Good night." In the guest room, Logan sat on the edge of the bed, his military training kicking in as he processed everything he'd learned. Marissa's threats, the children's revelations, Mrs. Henderson's potential as an ally, all pieces of intelligence to be analyzed and incorporated into his strategy. That he pulled out his phone, beginning a systematic search for surveillance equipment suppliers. If Marissa wanted to play games, he'd make sure he had proof of every move she made. She thought she held all the cards, thought she could control him through the children. She was about to learn that some opponents were more dangerous when cornered through the wall. He could hear Avery's music box playing softly, the one he'd sent her from his last deployment. The melody carried through the darkness like a reminder of everything he was fighting for. His children deserved better than this poison home environment. They deserved a father who would fight for them with every weapon at his disposal. Logan began making notes, plotting his counter-strategy with the same precision he'd used in combat planning. Marissa had shown her hand too early, revealed her tactics before confirming her position of power. Now it was his turn to make a move, let her think she'd won this first battle. The war was just beginning. Logan sat in his parked car outside the electronics store, reviewing his list one final time. The military had taught him that proper surveillance required the right equipment and meticulous planning. After 3 days of research and careful observation of Marissa's patterns, he was ready to begin his counteroffensive. His phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Henderson. She just left with the blue sedan again. Same man as Tuesday. Thanks for keeping watch, he typed back. The elderly neighbor had proved to be an unexpected but valuable ally in his intelligence gathering. Their conversation 2 days ago had been enlightening. Earlier that week, I should have done something sooner, Mrs. Henderson had said, her weathered hands clutching her teacup as they sat in her kitchen. But what could I say? Without proof, it would have been just neighborhood gossip. You did plenty, Logan assured her. You protected my children when I couldn't. Those poor dears. She shook her head. Caleb started coming over with his sister whenever that David fellow would show up. He'd say they were practicing soccer. But I knew. The way that boy positions himself at my window, always watching their house. He's got his father's tactical mind. Logan's jaw tightened. How often does David come around? 2, sometimes 3 times a week. Always when she thinks the children are at activities. But there are others too. Mrs. Henderson's eyes hardened. That woman has no shame, bringing different men into your home with your children's pictures on the walls. I need to ask you something important. Logan leaned forward. Would you be willing to testify about what you've seen if it comes to that? In a heartbeat. Her response was immediate. I've kept a diary of everything. Dates, times, descriptions. My Harold was a police detective. He taught me the importance of documenting things properly. I've got 2 years of notes that would make any divorce lawyer's day. The conversation had given Logan his first tactical advantage. Now, standing in the electronics store, he approached the counter with purpose. Can I help you? The clerk was young, probably fresh out of high school. Need your most reliable hidden cameras, Logan said. Something that can record continuously for at least 12 hours, with clear night vision capability. The clerk's eyebrows rose. Sure. We got a few options. The higher-end models can. Show me everything, Logan interrupted. Price isn't an issue. 20 minutes later, he left the store with several high-definition cameras, motion sensors, and enough storage capacity to document every moment of Marissa's betrayal. The irony wasn't lost on him. Using surveillance equipment similar to what he'd encountered in combat, but this time to protect his home front, his phone buzzed again as he loaded the equipment into his car. Caleb's name flashed on the screen. Mom says she has a late meeting tonight. Can you pick us up from practice? Logan's fingers tightened on the phone. Late meeting had become Marissa's default excuse, transparent to everyone except those who chose not to see. Of course, buddy. I'll be there at 5:30. The drive home was interrupted by another call, this time from Marissa herself. Logan activated the call recording feature he'd installed yesterday. Logan. Her voice dripped with artificial sweetness. I hope you don't mind watching the kids tonight. Something came up at work. You mean David came up? The words came out before he could stop them. A sharp intake of breath. Then, I've told you, before my personal life is none of your concern. Unless you want me to start making those calls we discussed. Empty threats, Marissa. We both know you won't do anything that might expose your own behavior. Is that what you think? Her laugh was cold. Try me, Logan. See what happens when I tell the court how their father's PTSD makes him unstable, dangerous even. How the children are afraid. The children know exactly who to be afraid of, Logan cut in. And it's not me. You're playing a dangerous game, Marissa warned. Remember who has the power here. Power? Logan pulled into their driveway, noting the fresh tire tracks that didn't belong to either of their vehicles. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Quoting movies now? How cute. Just be home by 5 to watch the kids. I'll be working late. The line went dead. Logan sat in his car for a moment, replaying the conversation in his mind. Each interaction with Marissa revealed more of her tactics. the threats, the manipulation, the casual cruelty disguised as maternal concern. But she'd made a critical error in assuming he would remain passive. The front door opened as he approached, revealing Avery's small face. "Daddy, you're home early." "Hey, princess." He hugged her close, breathing in the familiar strawberry scent of her shampoo. "Why aren't you at school?" "Half day," she explained, leading him inside. "Mom said she had meetings, so Mrs. Henderson watched me until you got home." Logan noticed subtle changes in the living room. A wine glass hastily cleared away, a man's jacket missing from where it had been draped over the couch this morning. His tactical assessment was confirmed. Marissa had used the half-day to entertain one of her friends. "Have you had lunch?" he asked, keeping his voice light. Mrs. Henderson made grilled cheese. Avery's voice dropped to a whisper. "She said to tell you that Mom's friend left about an hour ago. The one with the red sports car." Logan's heart clenched at how matter-of-factly his 8-year-old daughter delivered this intelligence. "Thank you for telling me, sweetheart. Why don't you work on homework while I take care of some things upstairs? Are you going to put up cameras?" Avery's question stopped him mid-stride, that he turned slowly. "What makes you ask that?" "I heard Mom talking on the phone last night. She told someone she thinks you're planning something." Avery twisted her hands in her shirt. "She said she'd make you leave if you try to catch her doing bad things." Logan knelt to his daughter's level, meeting her worried gaze. "Nobody is making me leave, princess. I promised you that, remember?" "But Mom says..." "Your mom is wrong." He kept his voice firm but gentle. "I'm here to stay, and I'm going to make sure both you and Caleb are safe and happy. That's my job as your father." Avery's small arms wrapped around his neck. "I help keep watch sometimes," she confided. "When Mom has friends over, I pretend to read in my room, but really I write down everything in my diary. Like Mrs. Henderson taught me." Pride and pain warred in Logan's chest. His children had been forced to become surveillance experts in their own home, developing tactics that no child should have to learn. "You're very brave," he told her. "But that's not your job anymore. Let me handle things from now on, okay?" She nodded against his shoulder. "Are you going to catch Mom? Like in your military missions?" "Something like that." Logan pulled back, smoothing her hair. "But right now, I need you to be my lookout while I check something upstairs. Can you do that?" Avery's face turned serious. "I'll watch from my reading spot by the window. If Mom comes home, I'll play my music box so you can hear it." "Perfect plan, princess." He kissed her forehead, then headed upstairs with his equipment bag. The master bedroom still felt like enemy territory, but Logan pushed aside personal feelings to focus on tactical advantage. He'd studied camera placement in combat zones. This was no different. Each angle had to be considered. Each blind spot eliminated. The first camera went above the dresser, disguised among the family photos Marissa hadn't bothered to take down. The second, equipped with night vision, found its home in the bookshelf facing the bed. A third covered the bedroom door's approach. That as he worked, Logan's mind cataloged other changes in the room. New lingerie laid out on the bed, expensive perfume that he hadn't bought her, subtle signs of a woman who had grown accustomed to entertaining multiple partners. His phone buzzed with a text from Caleb. "Coach says I'm starting in Saturday's game. You're still coming, right?" "Wouldn't miss it for anything, buddy," Logan replied, his resolve strengthening. Everything he was doing, the surveillance, the evidence gathering, the tactical planning, was for moments like this. His children deserved a father who could attend their games without Marissa's threats hanging over him. The sound of Avery's music box drifted up from downstairs, their arranged signal. Logan quickly finished securing the last camera and packed away his supplies. By the time Marissa's key turned in the front door, he was in his temporary room, equipment hidden and laptop ready to receive the video feeds. "I thought you had meetings all afternoon," he heard Avery say downstairs. "Plans change, sweetheart," Marissa replied smoothly. "Where's your father?" "Working in his room. He's helping me with a school project later." Logan smiled at his daughter's perfect delivery. She'd make one hell of an intelligence officer someday. Though he hoped she'd never need those skills again after this was over. His laptop screen flickered to life, showing multiple angles of the master bedroom in crystal clear detail. The first pieces of his counteroffensive were in place. Now came the harder part. Waiting for Marissa to prove herself the enemy she truly was. The operation had begun. The first video came 3 days after Logan installed the cameras. He sat in his temporary room, watching his laptop screen as David, now with a face to match the name, entered the master bedroom with Marissa. Their familiarity was evident, speaking volumes about how long this had been going on. "Your husband's been asking questions around the neighborhood," David said, loosening his tie. "That old lady next door, Mrs. Henderson, is a lonely widow who needs to mind her own business," Marissa snapped, reaching for him. "Logan can ask all the questions he wants. Without proof, it's just his word against mine. And if he finds proof, he won't." Marissa's laugh was cold. "And even if he did, one call about his PTSD, his unstable behavior, and no judge would give him custody. Now shut up and kiss me." Logan's jaw clenched as he watched them fall onto his former bed. He'd seen enough. Switching off the video feed, he added the file to his growing collection of evidence. 3 days of surveillance had yielded for different men, including David, and countless incriminating conversations that a soft knock at his door interrupted his documentation. "Dad?" Caleb's voice was quiet. "Can I come in?" "Of course, buddy." Logan quickly closed his laptop. "What's up?" Caleb entered, his soccer uniform muddy from practice. His young face carried that same serious expression that seemed permanently etched there lately. "Mom's friend is here again." "I know." Logan patted the bed beside him. "You okay?" "Yeah, Caleb sat heavily. "Tommy asked if you could drive us to practice tomorrow." His dad canceled again. "Of course I can." Logan studied his son's profile, seeing the unspoken worry there. "Want to tell me what's really on your mind?" "I heard Mom on the phone earlier," Caleb said after a moment. "She was talking to someone about moving away. About taking us somewhere you couldn't find us." Logan's blood ran cold, but he kept his voice steady. "That's not going to happen." "But what if she tries?" "What if, Caleb?" Logan turned to face his son fully. "Do you remember what I taught you about soccer defense? About why we gather intelligence on the opposing team?" "Yeah, you said knowledge is power. That's why we study their plays and formations." "Exactly. Well, I'm gathering intelligence now. Your mom thinks she can threaten us, try to separate us, but she's forgotten something important." "What's that?" "I've spent years learning how to protect what matters. How to plan, prepare, and execute missions successfully." Logan squeezed his son's shoulder. "Trust me, buddy. I won't let her take you away." Caleb's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Is that why you put up cameras?" "Avery told me she's been helping you keep watch." "Your sister mentioned that. Did she?" Logan made a mental note to discuss operational security with his overly helpful daughter. "Listen, the less you both know about certain things, the better. Just focus on your soccer, your schoolwork, and being there for Avery. Let me handle the rest. Like a military operation. Something like that." Logan ruffled his hair. "Now, how about we work on those defensive drills before dinner? The game's tomorrow, and I heard you're starting." Caleb's face lit up, but then fell. "Mom said she has to work late again tomorrow. She won't be at the game." "Her loss." Logan stood, offering his hand to pull his son up. "Come on, show me those moves Coach has been teaching you." They headed downstairs, passing the master bedroom where muffled sounds leaked through the closed door. Caleb's step quickened, his face flushing with anger and embarrassment. Logan guided him toward the backyard with a firm hand on his shoulder. "Focus on what you can control," he reminded his son as they stepped outside. "Everything else is just background noise." They were halfway through practicing corner kicks when Avery appeared at the back door. "Dad? There's a lady at the front door asking for you. She says she's from your lawyer's office." Logan exchanged a look with Caleb. "Stay here with your sister, buddy. I'll handle this." The woman waiting in the foyer was professional and direct. "Mr. Everett? I'm Amanda Porter from Wilson and Associates. You reached out to our firm about a potential custody case?" "Yes, but I wasn't expecting." "Let's talk outside," she suggested, glancing meaningfully toward the stairs where sounds of activity could still be heard. On the front porch, Amanda got straight to business. "Your neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, contacted our office. She mentioned you're gathering evidence?" "Video and audio recordings," Logan confirmed. "Plus witness statements, text messages, phone records." "Good. You'll need it all?" Amanda's expression was grim. "Mrs. Henderson also mentioned threats of parental alienation, using PTSD allegations against you." Marissa thinks she can control me through the kids. Threatens to make sure I never see them again if I try to leave. Classic narcissistic behavior. Amanda pulled out a business card. Listen, I don't usually make house calls, but Ellen Mrs. Henderson is an old friend. She told me about your children, how they've been affected by all this. I want to help. Why? Because I've seen too many good fathers lose access to their kids because they didn't gather enough evidence before making their move. You're being smart, methodical. That's rare in these cases. Logan studied her card. The firm was well respected, known for handling high-profile custody battles. What's your advice? Keep gathering evidence, but be careful. The recordings need to be obtained legally to be admissible in court. And watch your back. Women like your wife often escalate when they feel cornered. Speaking from experience, let's just say I've seen this pattern before. Amanda glanced at her watch. I need to get back to the office, but call me when you're ready to move forward. And Mr. Everett, document everything, every threat, every incident with the children, every suspicious visit. The more ammunition we have, the better your chances. After she left, Logan stood on the porch, turning her card over in his hands. The sound of Caleb and Avery's laughter drifted from the backyard. A reminder of everything at stake, his phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Henderson. Blue sedan just parked around the corner. Your wife's friend is trying to be sneaky now. Logan typed back a quick thanks, then checked his surveillance feed. Sure enough, David was leaving through the back door, while another man approached from the front. The cameras caught Marissa's satisfied smirk as she watched David's departure from the bedroom window. Getting sloppy, Marissa, Logan muttered, saving the footage. Her overconfidence was becoming a tactical advantage. Each video, each recorded conversation, each documented incident was another nail in the coffin of her threats. The back door slammed, followed by running feet. Dad! Avery's voice carried a note of panic. Mom's friend just came through the backyard. We saw him, and he saw us. And it's okay, princess. Logan pulled her close, feeling her small body trembling. Where's your brother? Here. Caleb appeared, his face dark with anger. He just walked through like he owned the place, Dad. Right past us like we weren't even there. Did he say anything to you? No. But he smirked. Caleb's hands clenched into fists, like he thought it was funny or something. Logan's combat instincts surged at the threat to his children, but he kept his voice calm. Go inside, both of you. Start your homework. I'll deal with this. He waited until they were safely in the house before pulling out his phone to add another note to his evidence file. Date and time of David's exit through backyard, witnessed by both children. Direct contact with minors, demonstrating complete disregard for their emotional well-being. The master bedroom door opened upstairs. Logan could hear Marissa's voice, sickly sweet, greeting her next visitor. His phone continued recording, capturing every sound, every piece of evidence that would eventually ensure his children's safety. The war had moved into a new phase, and Logan was prepared for a long campaign. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear. Perfect weather for Caleb's soccer game. Logan sat at the kitchen table, reviewing footage from the previous night while his children ate breakfast. The cameras had captured 3 separate visitors in one evening, a new record that spoke to Marissa's growing recklessness. Dad! Caleb's voice pulled him from his documentation. You're still coming to my game, right? Wouldn't miss it for anything, buddy. Logan closed his laptop, focusing on his son's nervous expression. First time starting as a defender. That's a big deal. Mom said she might come too. Avery offered quietly, pushing her cereal around her bowl. But she got a phone call earlier from David. Caleb finished, his tone bitter. I heard her laughing in her room. Logan kept his voice steady despite the anger burning in his chest. Focus on your game, buddy. That's all that matters today. The team we're playing is really good, Caleb continued, clearly trying to change the subject. They haven't lost a game all season. Coach says if we can hold them to 2 goals, it'll be a victory. Then that's what we'll do. Logan reached over to ruffle his hair. Remember what I taught you about analyzing the opponent's attack pattern? Watch their forwards' footwork, Caleb recited. It tells you which way they're going to cut before they make their move. Exactly. Use that tactical thinking, and the kitchen door swung open as Marissa swept in, already dressed for what clearly wasn't a soccer game. Her outfit was more suited for a date than a Saturday morning. "Morning, darlings," she said brightly, heading for the coffee maker. "Caleb, honey, I'm so sorry, but I won't be able to make your game. Something came up at work." "It's Saturday," Avery pointed out, her small voice carrying a hint of accusation. "Business doesn't stop for weekends, sweetheart." Marissa's tone was dismissive. "Besides, your father will be there." "That's enough, isn't it?" Logan watched Caleb's shoulders tense, saw the hurt flash across his face before being replaced by a carefully blank expression. "Yeah, that's fine. Dad's a better audience anyway. He actually understands soccer." Marissa's eyes narrowed at the implied criticism. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing." Caleb stood abruptly. "I need to get my gear ready." "Sit down, young man. We're not finished here." Marissa's voice took on that dangerous edge Logan had come to recognize. "You've been very disrespectful lately, and I won't have it." "Leave him alone, Marissa." Logan's quiet command cut through the tension. "He's got a big game to focus on." "Oh, of course." Marissa's laugh was brittle. "Defend his attitude. You're so concerned about being the favorite parent, aren't you, Logan? Making sure they see you as the hero while I'm the villain." "You're doing that all on your own," Logan replied evenly. "Caleb, go get ready." "Avery, why don't you help your brother find his lucky socks?" The children fled the kitchen, leaving their parents in a silence charged with unspoken threats. "You think you're so clever," Marissa said finally, her voice low and venomous. "Playing the devoted father, turning my children against me. But remember what I told you, one word about your PTSD, about how unstable you've been since returning. Is that why you're going out today?" Logan interrupted, keeping his tone conversational. "To meet with your lawyer friend? Plan your strategy?" Marissa's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. "What are you talking about?" "David Rothschild. Harvard Law, specializes in family court cases." Logan enjoyed watching the color drain from her face. "You really should be more careful about leaving his business card lying around." "You've been going through my things?" "Just gathering intelligence." Logan stood, gathering the breakfast dishes. "Like the fact that he's married, with 3 kids of his own. I wonder what his wife would think about his extracurricular activities." "You wouldn't dare." "Wouldn't I?" Logan turned to face her fully. "You're not the only one who can make threats, Marissa. The difference is I have proof to back mine up." Her eyes widened slightly before narrowing in calculation. "Proof? Of what?" "Everything." Logan let the word hang between them. "Every visitor, every conversation, every threat you've made about taking the kids. It's amazing what modern surveillance technology can capture." "You're bluffing." But her voice held a note of uncertainty. "Am I? Want to test that theory? Maybe we should call David right now, show him some of the footage. I'm sure his wife would be interested in the starring role he's been playing in our bedroom." Marissa's face flushed with anger. "You son of a mom?" Avery's small voice from the doorway made them both turn. "Your friend is outside. The one with the red car." Logan watched various emotions war on Marissa's face. Anger, fear, calculation. Finally, she forced a smile. "Thank you, sweetheart. Mommy has to go to work now. Have fun at your brother's game." She grabbed her purse and swept out, leaving behind the scent of expensive perfume and the bitter dregs of her coffee. "She's not really going to work, is she?" Avery asked quietly. "No, princess, she's not." Logan knelt to his daughter's level. "But that's not something you need to worry about anymore. Remember what I said about letting me handle things?" Avery nodded, then reached into her pocket. "I wrote down the license plate number of his car. Mrs. Henderson says that's important information to have." Logan accepted the carefully printed numbers, his heart breaking at how his 8-year-old had become such an efficient intelligence gatherer. "Thank you, sweetheart. But no more spy work, okay? Let's focus on cheering for your brother today." "Dad!" Caleb's voice carried down the stairs. "I can't find my lucky socks." "Second drawer, behind your shin guards," Logan called back, relieved to deal with a normal parental problem. "Come on, Avery. Let's go help your brother before he tears his room apart." As they climbed the stairs, Logan's phone buzzed with an incoming text. Mrs. Henderson had sent a photo of Marissa getting into the red sports car, the license plate clearly visible. Another piece of evidence for his growing file, his phone buzzed again, this time from Amanda Porter. Got your email with the latest footage. This is exactly what we need. Keep it coming, but be careful. Women like her get dangerous when they feel cornered. Logan slipped the phone back into his pocket as they reached Caleb's room, where his son was frantically searching through drawers. Found them, Avery announced triumphantly, pulling the socks from exactly where Logan had suggested. You're a lifesaver. Caleb grabbed them, then paused. Dad, even if we lose today, you won't be disappointed, right? Never. Logan pulled both children into a hug. I'm always proud of you. Both of you. No matter what. As his children hugged him back, Logan's resolve strengthened. Let Marissa play her games, make her threats. He had truth and evidence on his side. And most importantly, he had the unwavering love of his children. The surveillance equipment continued recording upstairs, gathering proof of Marissa's infidelity and manipulation. Soon, very soon, she would learn that some opponents were smarter, better prepared, and more determined than she'd bargained for. But for now, Logan had a soccer game to attend. Everything else could wait. Caleb's team won the soccer game 2-1, with Logan's son making a crucial defensive play in the final minutes. The victory celebration at home, however, was short-lived. They returned to find Marissa in the kitchen with David, both of them looking disheveled despite their attempts to appear casual. Mom, Caleb stopped dead in the doorway, his trophy clutched tight against his chest. What's he doing here? David just stopped by to discuss some legal matters, Marissa said smoothly, adjusting her blouse. How was the game, sweetheart? We won. Caleb's voice was flat. No thanks to you. David cleared his throat. Maybe I should go. Yes, you should. Logan's quiet command filled the kitchen. Now! Don't take that tone in my house, Marissa snapped. David is here as my legal counsel. He has every right. Legal counsel? Logan's laugh held no humor. Is that what they're calling it now? Funny, I don't remember legal consultations requiring quite so much physical contact. David's face reddened. Now see here. Get out. Logan took a step forward, letting his military bearings show through. Before I show your wife the video evidence of your legal consultations, the threat hit home. David grabbed his jacket and briefcase, almost knocking over a chair in his haste to leave. The front door slammed behind him, leaving a tense silence in the kitchen. You're recording us? Marissa's voice trembled with rage. In our own home? Dad. Avery's small voice came from behind Logan. We won the game. Don't you want to hear about Caleb's save? Of course we do, princess. Logan kept his eyes on Marissa. Why don't you and your brother go, put your gear away? Then we'll celebrate properly. Once the children were upstairs, Marissa's facade cracked. You think you're so clever with your surveillance and your threats. But you've just made a fatal mistake, Logan. Recording someone without their consent? That's illegal. Not in this state, Logan countered. Not when it's your own property and you have reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. Criminal? Marissa laughed. Having relationships isn't criminal, Logan. Unlike, say, a mentally unstable war veteran spying on his own family. Keep pushing, Marissa. Every threat, every manipulation, is more evidence for the custody hearing. Her eyes narrowed. What custody hearing? The one that's coming. You didn't think I'd let you keep threatening our children's stability forever, did you? Our children? Marissa stepped closer, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. Let me make something very clear. Those children are mine. I raised them while you were playing hero overseas. One word from me about your PTSD episodes, your surveillance paranoia, your threatening behavior. You mean like bringing strange men around our children? Logan's voice remained steady. Having afternoon trysts while they're at school? Using them as pawns in your sick games? Games? Marissa's laugh was bitter. I'm living my life, Logan. Something you wouldn't understand, trapped in your rigid military mindset. The children understand. They know who's really been there for them. Do they? Logan pulled out his phone, playing a video clip. On the screen, Marissa's voice rang clear. The kids are just leverage. Logan won't dare leave as long as I can threaten to take them away. The color drained from Marissa's face. Where did you? You really should be more careful about what you say in our bedroom. Logan stopped the video. I have hours of footage like this. Every threat, every manipulative comment, every moment you put your selfish desires above our children's well-being. I'll deny everything. It's your word against mine. No, it's your words against you. Every judge in the state will see exactly who you are. Logan's voice hardened. A manipulative narcissist who uses her own children as weapons. Marissa's hand shot out to slap him, but Logan caught her wrist. Careful, he warned quietly. The cameras are still running. She yanked her hand away, fury distorting her features. This isn't over. You're right about that. Logan moved toward the stairs. I'm going to celebrate my son's victory now. Feel free to join us if you can act like a mother for once. I am their mother. No. Logan paused on the first step. You're just a woman who gave birth to them. A mother puts her children first. A mother doesn't bring strange men into their home, doesn't threaten their stability, doesn't use them as pawns in her games. Get out. Marissa's voice shook with rage. Get out of my house. Our house, Logan corrected. Paid for with my military salary while you were entertaining your friends, and I'm not going anywhere. He climbed the stairs, leaving Marissa seething below. The sound of breaking glass followed him, her favorite way of expressing rage when the children were out of sight. Logan made a mental note to add the incident to his evidence file. Caleb's door was closed, but Logan could hear both children inside. He knocked softly before entering. Is Mom mad again? Avery asked from her perch on Caleb's bed. She was holding his trophy while he changed out of his uniform. Mom's always mad now, Caleb answered before Logan could. Ever since Dad came home, and she can't pretend anymore. Pretend what, buddy? Caleb pulled his clean shirt on, his young face serious. Pretend that she's a good mother. That's what Tommy says his mom told him. That some parents are good at pretending, but the truth always comes out. Tommy's pretty wise for his age, Logan said, sitting on the bed. Want to tell me about that game-winning save now? As Caleb launched into an excited replay of the match, Logan's phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Henderson. She's making calls. Sounds angry. Want me to record? Yes. He typed back. Every word. Another text came through. This one from Amanda Porter. Got your latest files. Building a solid case. But watch your back. The recordings of her custody threats are especially damning. She'll get desperate. Logan slipped the phone away, focusing on his children. Caleb was demonstrating his defensive technique while Avery played the opposing striker. Both of them momentarily free from the tension downstairs. The sound of the front door slamming echoed through the house, followed by a car engine starting. Running feet on the stairs preceded Mrs. Henderson's next text. Red sports car again. She's ranting on the phone about lawyers and restraining orders. Let her rant, Logan thought. Every action, every threat, every moment of choosing her desires over her children's well-being was another nail in the coffin of her custody claims. The cameras upstairs continued recording, gathering evidence of her betrayal while she played right into his hands. Marissa thought she could fight her way out of this with threats and manipulation. She was about to learn that some opponents had already won the war before the first shot was fired. 3 weeks of surveillance had yielded enough evidence to bury Marissa 10 times over. Logan sat in his temporary room, reviewing the latest footage with Amanda Porter via video call. The laptop screen showed his wife entertaining 2 different men in one day, making threats about custody, and berating the children for spending too much time with their father. This is exactly what we need, Amanda said, making notes. Especially the clip where she admits to using the children as leverage. No judge will look kindly on that. There's more, Logan replied, switching to another file. She started bringing them around when the kids are home. Listen to this. The video played, showing Marissa in the kitchen with her latest companion. The brats are upstairs. Her voice dripped with disdain. They know better than to come down when I have company. Logan's turned them against me, but I'll fix that once I get full custody. Perfect, Amanda nodded. This proves she's putting her personal life ahead of the children's well-being. Have you noticed any changes in her behavior lately? She's getting careless, reckless. Last night, a scream from downstairs cut him off. Logan was moving before the sound finished, taking the stairs 2 at a time. He found Avery in the living room, frozen in shock as Marissa and an unknown man scrambled to cover themselves on the couch. What the hell are you doing? Logan's voice could have cut steel. In the living room, where the children could see? Daddy? Avery's small voice trembled. Go upstairs, princess. Now. Once Avery's footsteps faded, Logan turned his full attention to the couple on the couch. The man younger than David, probably an intern from Marissa's office, was hastily buttoning his shirt. "Get out." Logan's quiet command held the weight of combat authority. "This is my house, too," Marissa snapped, adjusting her skirt. "I could do what I want where I want." "Mark, is it?" Logan addressed the man directly. "I suggest you leave. Unless you'd like your firm to receive evidence of your unprofessional behavior with a married colleague." Mark fled without a backward glance, leaving Marissa seething on the couch. "You think you're so righteous," she spat. "Threatening my friends, turning my children against me." "Your children?" Logan's laugh held no humor. "The ones you just traumatized? The ones you ignore unless you can use them as weapons?" "They're mine." Marissa stood, her face contorted with rage. "I carried them, birthed them, raised them while you played soldier. You think a few months of playing devoted daddy erases that?" "No, but your actions do." Logan pulled out his phone. "Every affair, every threat, every moment you chose your selfish desires over their well-being, it's all documented. Those recordings are illegal." "Wrong again." Logan played a clip Marissa threatening to use his PTSD against him in court. "One-party consent state, remember? And since it's my house too, I'll deny everything. Say you doctored the videos, that you're unstable, paranoid." "Mom?" Caleb's voice from the stairs made them both turn. He stood there in his soccer uniform, practice bag dropped at his feet. "I recorded you too. On my phone. When you told David you were going to lie about Dad in court." Marissa's face went white. "You what?" "The kids aren't stupid, Marissa." Logan moved to stand between them. "They see everything. They understand more than you think. You turned them against me." She grabbed a vase from the coffee table, hurling it at the wall. It shattered, sending shards of glass across the floor. "My own children. Spying on me?" "We learned from watching you," Caleb said quietly. "You taught us how to pretend, how to gather evidence. Like when you took pictures of Dad's medicine to show your lawyer." Another piece clicked into place in Logan's mind. "Is that why my prescriptions went missing last week? You think you're the only one who can build a case?" Marissa's laugh held an edge of hysteria. "I've got proof too, your PTSD meds, your surveillance equipment, your controlling behavior." "One call to the right judge." "I already called Judge Martinez," a new voice interrupted. Mrs. Henderson stood in the doorway, phone in hand. "I've been recording your little performance. Would you like to hear what you sound like when you're threatening your children's father?" "You interfering old bat." Marissa lunged toward the door, but Logan caught her arm. "Don't," he warned quietly. "You're already facing hostile witness testimony from half the neighborhood. Don't add assault charges to the list." "You planned this," Marissa whispered, realization dawning. "All of it. The cameras, the witnesses, the recordings. I learned strategy in the military," Logan replied, "including how to gather intelligence and build a solid case." "But you made it easy, Marissa. Your arrogance, your certainty that you couldn't be touched. You did most of the work for me." "I'll fight you," she hissed. "I'll tell everyone you're dangerous, unstable." "With what evidence?" Mrs. Henderson asked mildly. "The prescription bottles you stole? I have security footage of you taking them from the medicine cabinet." "Amazing what a well-placed camera can capture." Marissa's head whipped around to stare at Logan. "You bugged the entire house?" "Just the areas where you conduct your business." He released her arm. "Every room where you've betrayed our marriage, threatened our children's stability, plotted to destroy their relationship with their father." "Dad." Avery's voice drifted down. "Is it safe to come downstairs?" The innocent question seemed to break something in Marissa. She sank onto the couch, her carefully maintained facade crumbling. "What do you want?" she whispered. "Divorce papers will be delivered tomorrow," Logan said, "along with a custody agreement that gives me full custody of the children. Sign them, and we'll keep the more explicit evidence private." "You can't take my children." "You already lost them," Caleb said from the stairs. "Every time you chose your friends over us. Every time you made us hide upstairs while you played your games. Every time you threatened to take us away from Dad." Marissa stared at her son, seeing perhaps for the first time the damage she'd done. "Caleb, sweetheart, you don't understand." "We understand everything." He cut her off. And we choose Dad. The words hit Marissa like physical blows. She looked around wildly at Logan's impassive face, at Mrs. Henderson's phone still recording, at her son's unwavering stance on the stairs. This isn't over, she finally managed, grabbing her purse. You'll hear from my lawyers. Oh, you mean David? Mrs. Henderson smiled sweetly. I sent his wife the footage an hour ago. I doubt he'll be representing anyone for a while, given the impending divorce proceedings. Marissa fled, the front door slamming behind her. Through the window, they watched her car screech out of the driveway, taking the corner too fast in her haste to escape. Dad! Avery appeared at the top of the stairs. Is it over? Almost, princess. Logan held out his arms, and both children ran to him. Just one more step, and then we start fresh. Just the three of us. Mrs. Henderson quietly showed herself out, leaving the small family holding each other in the wreckage of Marissa's final meltdown. Logan held his children close, feeling their trust, their love, their relief that the long campaign was finally nearing its end upstairs. The cameras continued recording, gathering the last pieces of evidence that would ensure their future safety. But Logan's thoughts were already turning toward tomorrow, toward healing, rebuilding, and creating the stable home his children deserved. Marissa had played her games, made her threats, tried to use their children as weapons. But she'd forgotten the most important rule of warfare. Never underestimate an opponent who has nothing left to lose and everything to protect. Logan's finger hovered over the upload button, his military training warring with his sense of justice. The video compilation on his screen represented weeks of surveillance, carefully edited footage that would expose Marissa's true nature to the world. Amanda Porter's words echoed in his mind from their earlier conversation. Are you absolutely certain about this? She'd asked, reviewing the final cut. Once it's online, there's no taking it back. She gave up her right to privacy when she threatened our children, Logan had replied. Everything in that video is evidence of her betrayal, not just of me, but of her role as a mother. Now, sitting in his temporary room while the children slept, Logan made his final preparations. The footage was damning. Marissa with multiple partners, her cruel comments about the children, her threats to use his PTSD against him. All carefully edited to protect the children's privacy while exposing their mother's true nature. That a soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Dad? Caleb's voice came through the door. Can I come in? Of course, buddy. Logan minimized the video window as his son entered. Everything okay? Caleb stood in the doorway, looking older than his 10 years in his Batman pajamas. I heard Mom on the phone earlier. She was talking to her lawyer friend, a new one, not David. What did she say? She's planning something. Caleb's hands twisted in his shirt. She said she's going to take us away tomorrow while you're at your VA appointment. I heard her making plans about plane tickets. Logan's jaw tightened. He'd suspected Marissa might try something desperate, but this confirmed it. Thank you for telling me, son. Don't worry. She won't get the chance. Are you going to use the videos? Caleb asked directly. The ones from the cameras? How did you know about that? Avery told me. She saw you editing them yesterday. Caleb moved closer to the desk. She said you're going to show everyone what moms really like. Logan studied his son's face, seeing not judgment, but understanding. Yes, that's the plan. How do you feel about that? Honestly, Caleb sat on the edge of the bed. I think people should know. Tommy says secrets just make everything worse. His dad tried to keep secrets about his new girlfriend, and it just hurt everyone more when the truth came out. This will change things, Logan warned. Once people see these videos, they'll talk. Your friends at school might hear about it. They already talk, Caleb said quietly. Everyone knows Mom brings her friends over. Mrs. Patterson from next door told all the other moms at soccer practice. At least this way, they'll know you're doing something about it. A small movement at the door caught Logan's attention. Avery stood there in her unicorn nightgown, clutching her diary. I want people to know too, she said softly. Mom pretends to be nice in front of everyone else, but she's not. She makes us hide things and tell lies. Logan held out his arms, and both children came to him. You're both incredibly brave, he told them. But are you sure you're ready for what comes next? People will talk, ask questions. We're sure, Caleb said firmly. Right, Avery? His sister nodded against Logan's chest. Mrs. Henderson says the truth sets you free. Like in my poem about the cage bird, Logan held them close, their trust and courage strengthening his resolve. Okay then, but I want you both to remember something important. None of this is your fault. Your mom's choice is her behavior. That's all on her. We know, Dad, Caleb assured him. You taught us about accountability, remember? In your letters about military leadership. A noise from downstairs made them all tense. Marissa's voice carried up the stairs, accompanied by male laughter. She wasn't even trying to be discreet anymore. Time for bed, Logan said quietly. Both of you. I'll handle this. Once the children were safely in their rooms, Logan returned to his laptop. The sounds from downstairs had grown louder. Marissa and her companion clearly drunk, not caring who heard them. His finger moved back to the upload button. All hesitation gone, his phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. Got your message about the flight plans. Emergency custody hearing scheduled for 9 a.m. Don't upload until I give the signal. Copy that. He typed back, military precision taking over. Target is downstairs with company. Getting sloppy. Perfect. Get it all on camera. The more evidence, the better. Logan switched to his surveillance feeds. The cameras caught everything. Marissa and her latest conquest stumbling through the house. Her loud declaration that her stupid husband would never know. Their eventual disappearance into the master bedroom. His phone buzzed again. This time from Mrs. Henderson. Just saw everything through my window. Got video of them arriving, stumbling up the walk. Timestamps match your footage. Thanks, Logan replied. Kids are safe in their rooms. But Marissa's planning to take them tomorrow. Over my dead body came the fierce response. I've already called Judge Martinez at home. He's not happy about being woken up, but given the circumstances, Logan allowed himself a grim smile. Marissa thought she could outmaneuver him, thought she could steal the children away before justice caught up with her. She was about to learn that some opponents had already won the war before the first shot was fired. The surveillance footage continued recording upstairs, capturing every incriminating moment. In a few hours, the world would see Marissa's true face. The carefully constructed facade of devoted mother and wronged wife would crumble under the weight of undeniable evidence. Logan began the final preparations for tomorrow's battle. The videos were ready, the legal documents in place. Every move planned with military precision. Marissa's reign of manipulation and threats was about to end. Not with a whimper, but with a very public bang. The war was entering its final phase. And Logan had all the ammunition he needed. The courthouse corridor buzzed with tension as Logan sat between his children on a hard wooden bench. Amanda Porter stood nearby, reviewing documents on her tablet, while keeping one eye on the entrance. They'd arrived early, anticipating Marissa's attempt to grab the children before the hearing. You okay, buddy? Logan asked softly, noting how Caleb's leg bounced with nervous energy. Yeah. Caleb straightened his tie. He'd insisted on wearing one, wanting to look professional for the judge. Just wondering what Mom will try this time. Whatever it is, we're ready, Amanda assured him. Judge Martinez has already reviewed the preliminary evidence. He's not happy about Marissa's flight plans. Dad. Avery's small voice drew their attention. She's here. Marissa swept through the courthouse doors like she was entering a boardroom, not a custody hearing. Her expensive suit and professional demeanor couldn't quite hide the strain around her eyes, the slight tremor in her hands as she clutched her designer briefcase. Well, isn't this cozy? She said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Turning my own children against me already, Logan? Mom? Caleb's voice was flat. We're here because of your choices, not Dad's. Marissa's face tightened. Sweetheart, you don't understand. I understand everything. He cut her off. We both do. That's why we're here. Before Marissa could respond, a new voice joined the conversation. Mrs. Everett? A word. David's wife, Julia, stood in the corridor, her own lawyer at her side. The look she gave Marissa could have frozen hell itself. This isn't a good time. Marissa started, but Julia cut her off. Oh, I think it's the perfect time. Right before you try to convince a judge that you're a fit mother while sleeping with multiple married men, including my husband. Marissa's facade cracked slightly. Julia, I can explain. Save it for the judge. Julia's smile was razor-sharp. "I just wanted to let you know that David won't be representing you today. He's a bit busy with his own divorce proceedings." The courthouse doors opened again, admitting several more people otherwise, Logan realized, recognizing them from his surveillance footage. Each woman carried a tablet or phone, their expressions promising storms to come. "What is this?" Marissa hissed, turning to Logan. "What did you do?" "Nothing yet," he replied calmly. "But the day's still young." "All parties for the Everett custody hearing," a clerk called out. "Judge Martinez will see you now." The courtroom was smaller than Logan had expected, more intimate, which somehow made it more intense. Judge Martinez, a man who'd seen 30 years of family court battles, studied them all with experienced eyes as Amanda presented their case. "Your Honor," she began, "we're here seeking emergency custody modification due to Mrs. Everett's documented pattern of dangerous and destructive behavior, as well as her apparent plans to flee with the children." "That's ridiculous." Marissa's new lawyer, a sharp-faced woman named Reynolds, stood. "My client is a devoted mother being slandered by her controlling husband." "A devoted mother?" Amanda's smile was dangerous. "Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence of Mrs. Everett's devotion." The next hour passed in a parade of damning evidence. Video clips showed Marissa bringing multiple men into the family home, making threats about custody, neglecting the children's emotional needs. Audio recordings captured her planning to use Logan's PTSD against him, discussing escape plans with various friends. "And this was all gathered legally?" Judge Martinez asked, studying a particularly damning clip. "Yes, Your Honor. Single-party consent state, and Mr. Everett had legitimate concerns about the children's safety. This is an invasion of privacy." Marissa stood, her composure cracking. "He spied on me in my own home." "Our home," Logan corrected quietly. "Paid for with my military salary while you entertained your visitors." "Mrs. Everett," Judge Martinez's voice cut through the tension. "These recordings show you bringing multiple strange men into your children's home, making threats about custody, and planning to flee the state with the minors. Do you deny any of this?" Your Honor, you don't understand. Logan abandoned us for years while he played soldier. I had needs. So your needs trumped your children's safety?" The judge's tone could have cut glass. "Mr. Everett, the children are present. Would they like to speak?" Logan turned to Caleb and Avery. "It's your choice," he said softly. "You don't have to. We want to," Caleb said firmly, standing. Avery nodded, clutching her brother's hand. What followed broke even Judge Martinez's professional demeanor. The children described 2 years of hiding in their rooms while their mother entertained friends, of being told to lie about the strange men in their house, of watching their mother's mask slip more each day. "She says she loves us," Avery said quietly, "but she loves her friends more. When Dad came home, she got angry because we couldn't pretend anymore." "Pretend what?" the judge asked gently. "Pretend we didn't see everything," Caleb answered. "Pretend we didn't know what she was doing. Pretend it was normal to hide upstairs while she had parties downstairs." "You ungrateful little..." Marissa started to rise, but her lawyer pulled her back down. "Mrs. Everett," Judge Martinez's voice was steel. "One more outburst and you'll be held in contempt. Now about these flight plans for today." "A business trip," Marissa's lawyer tried. "Nothing more. 3 one-way tickets to a non-extradition country." Amanda produced the evidence. "Booked under false names?" The judge had seen enough. Given the evidence presented, including Mrs. Everett's apparent flight risk and pattern of dangerous behavior, I'm granting immediate full custody to Mr. Everett. Mrs. Everett, surrender your passport to the court. We'll schedule a full hearing for next week, but for now." He was interrupted by commotion in the courtroom. Marissa's phone was buzzing repeatedly, along with several others. Logan checked his own device, seeing Amanda's prearranged signal. "It's live." The video had been uploaded just as planned. Even now, it would be spreading across social media, showing the world Marissa's true nature. Her carefully constructed facade was about to shatter completely. "Your Honor," Amanda said smoothly, "I believe Mrs. Everett might want to check her phone. It seems her extracurricular activities have gained some public attention." Marissa's face went white as she looked at her screen. The first comments were already pouring in. each one a nail in the coffin of her reputation. You didn't, she whispered, staring at Logan with a mixture of rage and disbelief. You couldn't. You threatened our children, Logan replied quietly. Did you really think I wouldn't fight back with everything I had? The courthouse doors burst open as reporters began arriving, drawn by the viral video that was quickly taking over local social media. Marissa's exposure was complete, her double life laid bare for all to see. Judge Martinez banged his gavel. This session is adjourned. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Everett and his children out the back entrance. Mrs. Everett, remain here with your counsel. We need to discuss the terms of your restricted access. As Logan led his children through the private corridor, Avery's small voice carried more strength than he'd ever heard. It's over now, isn't it, Dad? Almost, Princess, he assured her, holding both children close. Almost. The video went viral faster than Logan had anticipated. By the time they arrived home from court, news vans lined their street. Reporters hungry for the story of the unfaithful wife exposed by her military husband's surveillance operation. Keep your heads down, Logan instructed as he guided his children through the media gauntlet. Don't answer any questions. Mr. Everett, a reporter shoved a microphone toward them. How long did you gather evidence before exposing your wife's affairs? Is it true Mrs. Everett was planning to flee the country with your children? Did you install the cameras before or after discovering her infidelity? Mrs. Henderson appeared on her porch, armed with her garden hose. Back off, vultures, she called, spraying water near the reporter's feet. These children have been through enough without your harassment. Inside, Logan closed the blinds against the camera flashes. Caleb immediately went to check his phone, which had been buzzing constantly since the video dropped. Tommy says it's all over social media, he reported. His mom shared it in all her parents' groups. Everyone at school is talking about it. Are you okay with that? Logan asked, studying his son's face. Yeah. Caleb set his phone down. I'm tired of pretending everything's normal. At least now people know the truth. Avery appeared with her diary clutched to her chest. Rachel's mom called, she said quietly. She wants to know if I can still come to Rachel's birthday party next week. What did she say exactly? Logan knelt to his daughter's level. She said, Avery opened her diary, where she'd apparently written it down word for word. She said she's sorry for believing Mom's lies about you, and that I'm welcome in their home anytime. Logan's phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. Videos at 500K views and climbing. Marissa's trying to damage control, but the footage speaks for itself. Her firm's board of directors is meeting tomorrow to discuss her position. Another text followed. This one from Julia. Thank you for exposing her. David's facing disbarment proceedings. Their whole twisted little world is crumbling. The doorbell rang, making them all tense. Logan checked the security camera he'd installed. It showed Tommy's mother, Lisa, holding what looked like a casserole dish. It's safe, he assured the children, opening the door. I know you probably don't want visitors, Lisa said quickly, but I had to come. I should have seen what was happening. All those times Tommy mentioned the strange men, the way Caleb and Avery would hide at our house. You couldn't have known, Logan assured her. But we did know, didn't we? Lisa's eyes were fierce. All of us neighbors, we saw things, heard things. We just didn't want to get involved. I'm so sorry. Mom brings casserole when she feels bad about things. Tommy piped up from behind her. Can I play Xbox with Caleb? The normal request in the midst of chaos made Logan smile. Sure, buddy. As long as it's okay with your mom. As the boys thundered upstairs, Lisa turned to Avery. Rachel's in the car with her homework. Would you like to join her? I thought maybe you'd like some normal friend time. Avery looked to Logan, who nodded. Go ahead, princess. I'll call you in for dinner. Once Avery was safely in Lisa's car with her friend, Lisa turned back to Logan. The neighborhood moms are organizing. We're setting up a rotation for meals, rides to activities, whatever you need. It's the least we can do after failing these kids for so long. You didn't fail them, Logan said firmly. Marissa manipulated everyone. She was good at it. Not good enough, apparently. Lisa smiled grimly. That video, I've never seen anything like it. The way she talked about the children like they were just pawns in her game. And those men, half of them are married to women in my book club. Logan's phone buzzed again, another text from Amanda. Marissa's trying to get an emergency injunction to have the video taken down. Judge Martinez denied it. Says she has no expectation of privacy given her actions in the family home. The court stuff is settled, Lisa asked, noting his expression. For now. Full custody hearing next week, but given the evidence and her attempted flight risk. Flight risk? She had tickets booked, Logan explained. Was planning to take the kids today, right after my VA appointment. One-way tickets to a non-extradition country. Lisa's face hardened. That woman, I could just... Tommy told me months ago that Caleb was worried about his mom taking them away. I thought he was exaggerating. Kids see more than we think. Logan glanced upstairs, where video game sounds suggested a return to normalcy. They understand more too. Logan. Lisa's voice dropped. There's something else you should know. Some of the other affairs, they weren't just with married men. There were some teenage boys too. Senior year students from the private school where she gives legal seminars. Logan's blood ran cold. You're sure? My sister teaches there. The videos already reached their administration. Police are involved now. Another piece of intelligence Logan hadn't anticipated. He made a mental note to call Amanda. This development would affect the custody hearing. Mr. Everett? A small voice interrupted them. Rachel stood at the car window. Homework forgotten. Is Avery really okay? She's being really quiet. Logan moved to the car, kneeling by his daughter's window. Princess? You don't have to stay if you're not feeling up to it. I'm okay. Avery's voice was small but steady. Rachel's helping me write a new poem. About telling the truth, even when it's hard. That sounds perfect. Logan squeezed her hand through the window. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Both of you kids, you've been so brave. Braver than Mom, Avery said quietly. She always tells us lying is wrong, but she's the biggest liar of all. The simple truth in her words hit hard. Before Logan could respond, his phone buzzed with an incoming call from an unknown number. Stepping away from the car, he answered. You've ruined me. Marissa's voice was raw with rage. My job, my reputation, everything I built. You ruined yourself, Logan cut her off. I just showed everyone who you really are. I'll fight this. I'll tell everyone about your PTSD, your paranoid surveillance. Go ahead. Logan's voice was steel. The video shows exactly why I installed those cameras. Every judge in the state has seen you threatening to use my PTSD against me, plotting to kidnap our children. How do you think that plays against a decorated veteran seeking to protect his kids? They're my children too. No, Logan corrected quietly. They stopped being your children the moment you chose your selfish desires over their well-being. The moment you started using them as weapons in your sick games. I hate you, Marissa whispered. I hate what you've done to me. Goodbye, Marissa. Logan ended the call, turning back to find Lisa watching with understanding. She called you, didn't she? They always do, when their worlds start crumbling. Speaking from experience, Lisa's smile was sad. Why do you think Tommy only sees his dad every other weekend? Some people don't realize what they're losing until it's gone. Upstairs, the sounds of normal childhood continued. Video games, laughter, the occasional friendly argument over whose turn it was. In the car, Avery and Rachel had their heads together over a notebook, probably working on their poem. The reporters were still outside, held at bay by Mrs. Henderson's watchful presence. The video continued to spread, destroying carefully constructed lies and exposing painful truths. But in these moments of normalcy, Logan saw the first signs of healing beginning to take root. His phone buzzed one final time, a message from Judge Martinez himself. Just saw the latest developments regarding the school seminars. Emergency hearing moved up to tomorrow. Be ready. Logan looked at his children. Caleb visible through the upstairs window, Avery in the car below, and felt his resolve strengthen. The war wasn't quite over, but victory was in sight. More importantly, the healing could finally begin. The final custody hearing took place in a larger courtroom to accommodate the increased attendance. News of Marissa's involvement with underage students had transformed a private family matter into a public scandal. Logan sat with his children, noting how Caleb's protective arm stayed wrapped around his sister's shoulders. All rise, the bailiff called as Judge Martinez entered. The judge's expression was grave, as he surveyed the packed courtroom. "Before we begin," he announced, "let me make one thing clear. This is still a family court proceeding, not a media circus. Any disruptions will result in immediate removal." Marissa sat alone at her table. Her lawyer had withdrawn after the new allegations surfaced. Her designer outfit couldn't hide the toll of the past week. Her carefully maintained image had crumbled under the weight of viral exposure and criminal investigations. "Mrs. Everett," Judge Martinez began, "given the new evidence regarding your conduct at Brighton Academy, this hearing will determine not just custody, but also potential criminal charges. Do you understand?" "Your Honor," Marissa stood, her voice trembling slightly. "Those allegations are completely false. I never." "Save it for your criminal defense attorney," the judge cut her off. "We're here to discuss custody. Mr. Everett, the children have requested to speak again. Are you comfortable with that?" Logan turned to his children. "Only if you're sure," he said softly. Caleb stood first, straight and tall in his pressed shirt. "We're sure, Dad. No more hiding the truth." Avery nodded, clutching her diary. "I wrote it all down. Everything we saw, everything we heard. Mrs. Henderson says that makes it official evidence." "Very well." Judge Martinez gestured them forward. "Caleb, you first." Logan watched with pride as his son faced the court, his voice steady despite his mother's presence. Caleb described the pattern of neglect, the parade of strange men, the way Marissa would threaten and manipulate when she didn't get her way. "She didn't care that we knew," Caleb concluded. "She thought she could control us like she controlled everyone else. But Dad taught us about integrity, about standing up for what's right." "And you, Avery?" the judge asked gently. "Would you like to share what's in your diary?" Avery opened her notebook, her small voice growing stronger as she read. She documented dates, times, conversations, a child's careful record of her mother's betrayal. But it was her final entry that silenced the courtroom. "Mom says she loves us, but love doesn't hurt people on purpose. Love doesn't make you hide or tell lies. Dad says love is about choices, and Mom's choices show who she really loves, herself." "You ungrateful little brats." Marissa surged to her feet. "After everything I've done for you." "Mrs. Everett." Judge Martinez's gavel crack echoed like a gunshot. "One more outburst, and you'll be removed. Children, thank you for your courage. You may return to your father." As the children settled back beside him, Logan heard Avery whisper, "Did I do okay?" "You did perfect, Princess," he assured her. "Both of you did." Amanda Porter approached the bench with their final evidence packet. "Your Honor, we've submitted proof of Mrs. Everett's attempt to flee with the children, her documented threats regarding Mr. Everett's PTSD, and her pattern of bringing dangerous individuals into the family home. Given the new criminal investigation, we're requesting permanent sole custody with no visitation rights." "Objection." Marissa stood again. "You can't keep my children from me." Logan turned them against me, poisoned them with his paranoid delusions. "The only poison here," Caleb's voice cut through her protests, "is the way you treat people, Mom. The way you lie and pretend and hurt everyone around you." "Caleb, sweetie, you don't understand." "I understand everything." Caleb's young face was set with determination. "We all do. That's why we chose Dad. He might have been away fighting, but he never stopped loving us. You were here the whole time, but you never really loved anyone but yourself." The truth in a child's words silenced the courtroom. Judge Martinez studied Marissa over his glasses, seeing perhaps what everyone else now saw, a manipulator whose carefully constructed world had imploded. Given the evidence presented, he began, including Mrs. Everett's attempted flight risk, her documented pattern of endangering the children's well-being, and the pending criminal investigation. "I'm granting permanent sole custody to Mr. Everett. Mrs. Everett, you'll have no visitation rights until the criminal matters are resolved, and then only under strict supervision if deemed appropriate." "No!" Marissa's cry echoed off the courthouse walls. "You can't do this. They're my children." "They were your children," Logan corrected quietly. "But you gave them up every time you chose yourself over them. Every time you brought strange men into their home. Every time you used them as weapons in your games. Time to face the consequences of your choices, Mrs. Everett," Judge Martinez added. Bailiff, please escort Mrs. Everett out. I believe there are police officers waiting to discuss the Brighton Academy situation. As Marissa was led away, her protests fading down the corridor, Logan held his children close. Avery's tears soaked his shirt, but when she looked up, her eyes were clear. Can we go home now, Dad? She asked softly. I want to finish my new poem, the one about telling the truth and being brave. Of course, Princess. Logan gathered their things, nodding thanks to Amanda. Let's go home. Outside, the media circus waited, but Mrs. Henderson had organized a barrier of neighborhood parents. They formed a protective corridor, shielding the children as Logan led them to their car. Dad, Caleb asked as they drove away from the courthouse. Are we going to be okay now? Logan met his son's eyes in the rearview mirror, seeing the same strength and integrity he'd tried to teach through his letters. Yes, buddy, we're going to be more than okay. We're going to be honest and real and together. That's what family really means. No more hiding. Avery's voice came from the back seat. No more hiding, Logan promised. No more lies, no more pretending. Just us being true to ourselves and each other. The truth had cost them their illusions, had exposed ugly realities to the world. But as Logan drove his children home, he knew they'd gained something far more valuable. The freedom to be authentic, to heal, to build something real from the ashes of pretense. The war was over. Now the real work could begin. 3 months after the custody hearing, Logan sat in the bleachers watching Caleb's soccer team practice. The media frenzy had finally died down, replaced by the simple rhythm of everyday life. Marissa's criminal trial was ongoing, but that was someone else's problem now. Dad! Caleb waved from the field. Did you see that save? Perfect form, buddy. Logan called back, smiling as his son beamed with pride. The changes in Caleb over the past months had been remarkable. Gone was the hypervigilant child who'd learned to watch for danger. In his place stood a confident 10-year-old who could finally focus on just being a kid. He's really flourishing, Coach Matthews said, settling on the bench beside Logan. The whole team is. It's amazing what children can do when they're not carrying adult burdens. Speaking from experience? The coach nodded. My own parents' divorce was ugly. Took me years to learn that their choices weren't my responsibility. Your kids, they're healing faster because you gave them something I never had. What's that? The truth. No sugarcoating, no false promises. Just honest answers and constant support. Logan's phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Henderson. Avery's poetry reading went perfectly. Heading home now. She can't wait to show you her certificate. Another message followed, this one from Amanda Porter. Criminal court update. Marissa took a plea deal. 5 years minimum. No contact with minors. Brighton Academy scandal sealed the deal. Good news? Coach Matthews asked, noting Logan's expression. The best kind. The kind that means we can finally move forward without looking back. Practice ended, and Caleb jogged over, his face flushed with exercise and happiness. Dad, Coach says I'm ready for the travel team tryouts next month. That's amazing, buddy. Logan pulled him into a one-armed hug, not caring that his son was sweaty. Your sister had good news today, too. Her poem won first place. The one about truth and courage. Caleb's face lit up. She worked really hard on that one. They walked to the car together, Caleb chattering about practice and teammates. The constant fear that had shadowed their lives, worry about Marissa's next move, anxiety about public exposure had faded, replaced by ordinary family concerns. Home was different now, too. Logan had repainted the entire house, letting the children choose colors for their rooms. Avery's walls were now a peaceful blue that she said reminded her of ocean waves. Caleb had chosen a deep green, like the soccer field at sunset. The master bedroom had been transformed into a home office and reading room. Logan had moved permanently into what was once the guest room, leaving the past where it belonged. Dad! Daddy! Avery burst out the front door as they pulled up, waving her certificate. I won, and Mrs. Patterson says they're going to publish my poem in the school newsletter. That's wonderful, Princess! Logan caught her as she jumped into his arms. Tell us all about it. Inside, Mrs. Henderson had dinner waiting, a standing Thursday arrangement that had become one of many new family traditions. The elderly neighbor had become something between a grandmother and a guardian angel to the children. "You should have seen her," Mrs. Henderson said proudly as they settled around the dinner table. Standing up there, reading her poem about fighting darkness with truth. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. "Can I read it to Dad?" Avery asked, already pulling the carefully written pages from her folder. "Of course, sweetheart." Logan sat back, watching as his daughter stood straighter, her voice clear and confident as she began to read. The poem was simple but powerful, a child's perspective on discovering that truth, however painful, was better than comfortable lies. She wrote about shadows turning to light, about the strength found in facing reality, about a family rebuilt on honesty's foundation. "The last verse is different," she explained. "I rewrote it this morning. Listen, some say truth is hard to bear, like sunlight burning through the air. But lies hurt worse. They poison slow until the heart forgets to grow. Now we stand in honest light, 3 hearts beating, strong and bright. No more shadows, no more fear, just love and truth and family here." Silence fell as she finished reading. Logan saw tears in Mrs. Henderson's eyes, pride on Caleb's face, and something else, something healing, in Avery's quiet smile. "That was beautiful, Princess," he said softly. "You captured everything perfectly." "I couldn't have written it before," Avery admitted, settling back into her chair, "when we were still pretending everything was okay. But now we don't have to pretend," Caleb finished for her. "We can just be us." The doorbell rang. Thursday dinner had become something of an open house for the neighborhood kids. Tommy and Rachel often dropped by, along with other friends who no longer had to navigate Marissa's unpredictable moods. "Come in," Logan called, and the kitchen filled with the sound of children's voices, homework questions, and ordinary family chaos. Later that night, after friends had gone home and the kids were in bed, Logan sat in his office reviewing some final paperwork from Amanda. The divorce was official, the custody arrangements permanent. The last legal threads of his marriage to Marissa severed cleanly. That a soft knock at the door revealed Caleb in his pajamas. "Dad, can we talk?" "Always, buddy. What's on your mind?" Caleb settled into the reading chair, looking thoughtful. "Tommy asked today if I miss Mom. I didn't know what to say." "What did you want to say?" "That's the thing." Caleb picked at a loose thread on his sleeve. "I don't miss her. Not really. I miss who I thought she was back when I was little. But that person, she never really existed, did she?" "No," Logan answered honestly. "Your mother made her choices long ago. But that's not on you, son. You're allowed to feel however you feel about it." "I know." Caleb smiled slightly. "That's what you taught us, remember? In your letters about military training, how feelings aren't right or wrong. They just are. It's what we do with them that matters." "You remembered that, huh?" "I remembered everything you wrote." Caleb's voice was quiet but sure. "Even when you were far away, your letters made me feel safe. Like someone understood what was real and what wasn't." "Come here, buddy." Logan pulled his son into a hug, feeling the trust in his embrace. "I'm so proud of you, of both you and your sister. You've shown more courage than anyone should have to at your age. We learned it from you." Caleb pulled back, his young face serious. "Mom always said you abandoned us for the military, but that wasn't true. You were fighting for us the whole time, weren't you? Even before you knew what was happening here." "Everything I did was for you and Avery," Logan confirmed. "Every mission, every deployment, every battle, it was all to make sure you had a safe future. And now we build that future together. No more fighting, no more lies. Just us being a real family." Caleb nodded, satisfied. "Good night, Dad. Love you. Love you too, buddy." After Caleb left, Logan stood at his office window, looking out at the quiet street. The media vans were long gone, the scandal reduced to occasional news updates about Marissa's legal troubles. Life had found a new normal, one built on truth rather than pretense. His phone buzzed one final time, that night. A message from Amanda. "Final paperwork filed. It's really over now. You and those amazing kids can focus on healing." Logan smiled, thinking of Avery's poem, of Caleb's quiet wisdom, of the strength his children had found in facing truth head-on. They'd survived Marissa's betrayal, her manipulation, her attempts to destroy their family bonds. More than survived, they'd emerged stronger, closer, more authentic in their love for each other. The war was over. The healing was well underway. And the future, bright with honest possibility, stretched out before them like an open road.